Imagine walking into a supermarket surrounded by hundreds of cereal boxes, chocolate-flavored, gluten-free, organic, sugar-loaded, oat-based, keto-approved. At first glance, it feels empowering. So many choices, so much freedom. But pause for a second. Who decided these were the cereals you could choose from in the first place? You didn't grow the grains, you didn't design the packaging, you didn't even question whether cereal was the best way to start your day. You just walked in and chose from what was already selected for you. This is the modern illusion of freedom. We're told we live in a world of endless possibility, that we can be anyone, do anything, live however we choose. But in reality, the freedom we're sold is more like a children's menu, colorful, limited, and pre-approved. It seems vast, but it's carefully curated. It whispers of choice, but offers only variations on a theme. Take a step back and you'll start to notice it everywhere. Your career, you're free to choose between options the system has deemed profitable. Want to be a poet? Sure, but can you survive without monetizing your art? The system whispers, be who you want, but only if it's economically viable. It offers a stage, but only if you sing the songs it approves. Even your opinions are shaped within invisible walls. Yes, you can say whatever you want, until it makes others uncomfortable, until it questions the structure itself. The Overton window, the range of acceptable ideas, is narrow, but it's decorated so beautifully, you never realize you're boxed in. You believe you're speaking freely, but you're only echoing pre-approved sentiments. We confuse variety with freedom, but freedom isn't having 50 brands of toothpaste to choose from. It's having the power to question why toothpaste has become a billion-dollar industry in the first place. It's the freedom to ask, is this choice even necessary, or is it just noise? It's seeing the matrix for what it is, a beautifully constructed prison. Consumerism sells you freedom wrapped in packaging. You can pick your clothes, your coffee, your phone wallpaper, but try stepping outside the unspoken rules of success, beauty, or productivity, and watch how quickly that freedom vanishes. The system smiles while handing you 1,000 flavors of the same idea. Conform, but feel like you're choosing. Obey, but believe you're leading. Think about social media. It promises you a platform, a voice, a digital stage to express yourself. But that voice is guided by algorithms that reward conformity, outrage, and superficiality. Say something real and you might get buried. Post something trendy and you might go viral. It's not expression, it's performance. It's not authenticity, it's carefully crafted content. Even rebellion is packaged now. Want to feel like a nonconformist? Great, there's a brand for that. There's a hoodie, a playlist, an aesthetic, and a hashtag. Modern rebellion often looks more like a marketing campaign than a movement. It's rebellion for profit, a way to sell you back your own soul in neatly branded packaging. And here lies the most dangerous part of the illusion. You feel like you're free. You walk through life feeling like you're in control, never realizing the lanes were drawn long before you arrived. The illusion works so well because it rewards you just enough dopamine, just enough success, just enough applause to keep you from asking, wait, is this really freedom? Is this the life I truly want? True freedom isn't about infinite options within a limited box. It's about seeing the box. It's about stepping outside of default modes and asking, why do I want what I want? Who benefits from my choices? That moment when you start to question, really question, is when the spell starts to break. Because the greatest deception of modern society isn't control through force, it's control through illusion, through the comforting lie that you are already free. But real freedom, that begins only when you stop mistaking the menu for the meal. That begins when you realize the game is rigged and decide to play a new one. Picture this: you wake up, check your phone, scroll past a motivational quote. You have the same 24 hours as Elon Musk. Suddenly, your mind starts racing. Emails to reply to, tasks to check off, goals to chase. You feel behind even before brushing your teeth. Welcome to the productivity trap, a world where busyness has become a badge of honor, and your value is measured not by who you are but by what you produce. It's a world where doing is valued over being, where output is the only metric that matters. Society applauds the grinders, the hustlers, the ones who never stop. We romanticize burnout and glorify sleep deprivation. We chase milestones not because they fulfill us, but because we're terrified of falling behind. It's a race with no finish line, a game with no winner. The message is clear: your worth is tied to your output, but who decided that? Since childhood, we've been conditioned to chase gold stars, good grades, promotions, likes, shares. We internalized a dangerous equation: more doing equals more value, and over time it became our reality, not because it's true, but because it's repeated so often that we stop questioning it. We become cogs in the machine, slaves to the algorithm. And here's the twist: the system is designed this way. The more insecure you feel, the more productive you try to be. You buy planners, apps, and online courses. You hustle harder, thinking one more achievement will finally bring peace. But peace never comes because the bar keeps moving. It's a treadmill with no off switch. Even leisure has been hijacked. Reading a book, better make it self-help. Going for a walk, track your steps. Doing nothing, that's laziness. Unless you can rebrand it as mindful recovery. Everything must be optimized, measured, and quantified. Even our relaxation is now a form of productivity. We've forgotten how to exist without a purpose, without an agenda. Just exist, just breathe, just be. But the truth is, you are not a machine. You were never meant to operate at maximum efficiency every hour of every day. Nature doesn't bloom all year long. Why should you? Productivity culture masks itself as empowerment, but in reality, it often reinforces a quiet slavery, one where you willingly chain yourself to tasks convinced you're free, where rest becomes guilt and stillness feels like failure, where the only way to feel worthy is to constantly be doing more. This isn't just a mental trap, it's a psychological identity crisis. We're not addicted to work, we're addicted to being seen as useful, to being validated. Our self-worth becomes inextricably linked to our output. But if your entire identity is built on being productive, what happens when you stop? Who are you when you're not doing? What remains when the noise fades? Here's a radical thought: you are already enough. Even when you do nothing, even when you're still, you don't have to earn rest, you don't have to justify being. Existence is not a performance. You are not here to meet a quota. You are not defined by your accomplishments. The most revolutionary act in a world addicted to hustle might just be doing nothing, on purpose. It might just be reclaiming your time, your mind, and your soul. It might just be remembering who you are beneath the layers of expectation. So the next time your mind whispers, "You're not doing enough," answer it gently. Maybe I'm doing exactly what I need to be doing. Because freedom isn't always loud. Sometimes it's the quiet moment when you realize you've stepped off the treadmill, and the world didn't end. Sometimes it's the realization that you are worthy simply because you exist. Who are you? It's a simple question, but try to answer it and watch how quickly your mind reaches for labels. I'm a student, I'm a manager, I'm a mother, I'm creative, I'm introverted, I'm ambitious. We speak in titles, roles, and traits as if they fully define us, as if a single word could encapsulate the vastness of a human being. But where did these identities come from? Did we choose them, or were they handed to us like uniforms on the first day of school? From the moment you're born, the world starts shaping your sense of self. Your gender is assigned, your culture is stamped onto you. Your name is whispered over and over until you internalize it as me. You learn what's praised, what's punished, what gets love, and you adjust accordingly. You become what's accepted: a good child, a smart student, a hard worker. Little by little, the real you is traded for something safer, more palatable. A version of you that fits neatly into a world that doesn't like mess or mystery. A version that conforms, obeys, and performs. But here's the thing: identity isn't discovered, it's constructed. And modern society has become a master architect. It doesn't merely reflect who you are, it tells you who you should be. Social media, education systems, advertising, they don't just reflect who you are, they tell you who you should be. They create a mold and pressure you to fit inside. They whisper of perfection and shame you for your flaws. You scroll past filtered faces and curated lifestyles, and somewhere deep inside, a quiet voice asks, "Should I look like that too?" You measure yourself against impossible standards and find yourself wanting. You strive for an ideal that is always just out of reach. You wear clothes not just to stay warm, but to say something about yourself. You buy a phone, a car, a coffee brand not just for function, but for identity. You speak a certain way, follow trends, and post updates because, whether you realize it or not, you're constantly announcing, "This is who I am, please believe me." It's not your fault we all do it, because we've been conditioned to think of identity as a product, something that must be marketed, polished, and liked, something that must be validated by external forces. In a world driven by algorithms, your sense of self becomes content. Every photo, every status, every story is part of the performance. You're not just living, you're curating a narrative. You're not just being, you're building a brand. But what happens when the performance becomes the reality? What happens when you've played the role so well for so long that you forget who you were before the script, before the mask? What happens when the only person you know is the character you've created for the world? Here's the unsettling truth: most people never meet their true self. They live and die inside roles crafted for survival, not authenticity. They confuse who they are with what they've been told to be. They mistake the reflection for the reality. But every now and then, maybe during a moment of solitude, maybe in the middle of a breakdown, the mask slips. You catch a glimpse of something raw, something unpolished, a version of you that doesn't need to impress or prove, a version that exists simply because it is. That's the real you, the one beneath the noise, the one that hasn't been shaped, molded, and branded by the world, the one that still remembers its original essence. It doesn't mean you must reject every role you've taken on. Some identities serve a purpose. But when they start to cage you, when they silence your deeper questions, that's when it's time to ask, who am I without all this? Who am I beyond the labels, beyond the expectations, beyond the roles I play? Try this, sit in silence. No music, no phone, no distractions, just you. Ask, if no one was watching, what would I still care about? What would I still love? What would I stop doing? That's where your real identity lives. Not in your job title, not in your bio, but in the quiet knowing that you're more than the roles you play. Not in the opinions of others, but in the unshakable truth of your own being. You were never meant to be a brand, you were meant to be a human. And the most liberating journey you'll ever take is the one back to yourself. The one where you rediscover who you are beneath the layers of conditioning. We love comfort, the soft bed, the hot shower, the instant food, the one-click delivery. A world where you barely need to move, wait, or wonder. And why wouldn't we love it? Comfort feels good, safe, familiar. But beneath its warm blanket lies a cold truth. Comfort can be a cage. Because comfort isn't neutral, it shapes us, it dulls our edges, and when overindulged, it begins to numb the very instincts that lead to growth. It creates a prison of the familiar, where the only thing that changes is the wallpaper. Take a look around. Every innovation is designed to reduce effort. Why walk when you can ride? Why cook when you can order? Why talk when you can scroll? In the name of efficiency, we've traded friction for fluidity. But friction is where change happens. It's where muscles grow, minds stretch, and identities evolve. It's the resistance that makes us stronger, the challenge that makes us wiser. The illusion of comfort tells us we're thriving while we're actually just surviving in a padded room. Everything is made easy, except the things that really matter. Growth still hurts, truth still stings, real connection still takes effort. But when you've been fed dopamine on demand, even slight discomfort feels like pain. We lose our tolerance for silence, for challenge, for boredom. And in doing so, we lose the ability to sit with life, to wrestle with it, question it, reshape it. We become addicted to ease and allergic to anything that disrupts our carefully constructed bubble. Comfort doesn't just protect us from danger, it protects us from awareness. Why reflect when you can binge? Why confront your emotions when you can numb them with noise? Why risk the unknown when the known is so comfortable? That's the real danger, not that comfort makes us lazy, but that it makes us content with less than we're capable of. You stop dreaming, not because you don't want more, but because what you have is good enough. You settle for mediocrity, because it's easier than striving for greatness. You stop fighting, not because you've won, but because the couch is too soft and the screen too bright. You surrender to the status quo, because it requires less effort than challenging it. And here's the scary part, the system knows this. A comfortable population is a controllable one. When people are fed, entertained, and distracted, they're less likely to question, to resist, to wake up. When their needs are met, they're less likely to demand more. Comfort pacifies rebellion. It smooths the rough edges of society into a quiet hum. It keeps us sedated, compliant, and consuming. So no, comfort isn't evil, but unquestioned comfort, that's a slow anesthetic. It lulls you to sleep while life passes by just outside your window. It convinces you that you're living when you're really just existing. The antidote: choose discomfort, not recklessly but deliberately. Do hard things not for the result but for the reminder that you can, that you're capable of more than you think. Sit with boredom, question convenience, break the loop, because real life, the raw, vibrant, unpredictable kind, lives just beyond the edge of comfort. It's in the challenges we overcome, the fears we face, and the truths we uncover. And maybe, just maybe, the life you're truly meant for is hiding in the place you've been avoiding the most. The place that feels scary, uncomfortable, and unfamiliar. The place where you're forced to confront your limitations and push beyond them. At some point in the midst of all the noise, the screens, the opinions, the goals, the roles, you begin to feel it, a strange emptiness. Not loud, not dramatic, just subtle, like a room that used to be filled with music but now echoes with silence. It creeps in during quiet moments, When you're driving alone, when the movie ends, when you're lying in bed staring at the ceiling and the distractions finally go still. When you have nothing left to distract you from yourself. That's when it whispers, "Is this really me?" Because somewhere along the way you forgot. You forgot who you were before the world told you who to be. Before the schedules, the labels, the identities took over. Before success became urgent and authenticity became optional. This is the tragedy of the modern mind. We know the price of everything but the value of nothing. We can name celebrities, stocks, trends, but struggle to name our own needs. We're experts at the external, but strangers to the internal. We live in a world of hyperconnectivity, and yet we feel deeply alone with ourselves, because we've abandoned the self, the real one, the one behind the masks, the child who once stared at clouds, got lost in drawings, asked questions just for questions' sake. The version of you that existed before the algorithms, before the applause, before the world taught you to perform. And the worst part, we didn't even notice it slipping away. We were too busy chasing the next goal, the next achievement, the next validation. Modern society doesn't demand that you forget yourself. It simply keeps you too busy to remember. From the moment you wake up, you're plugged in. The calendar tells you who you are today, the phone tells you what matters, and the world applauds the version of you that's most useful to it, not necessarily the version that's most you. But here's the truth that no one profits from telling you. You are not your productivity. You are not your opinions. You are not your profile. You are something far deeper, a living, breathing consciousness with dreams that weren't sold to you and feelings that don't need to be filtered. A unique expression of the universe with a purpose that transcends the mundane. And the way back is not through achievement, it's through attention. It's through turning inward and listening to the whispers of your soul. It's through remembering who you are and choosing to be that person, regardless of the cost. Now back to your forgotten self. Reconnecting with it doesn't require a complete life change. It starts in small, defiant moments. Moments where you choose to sit in silence instead of reaching for distraction. Moments where you write not to post, not to impress, but just to feel your own thoughts again. Moments where you say no, not because it's efficient, but because it's honest. And perhaps most powerfully, moments where you do nothing and realize that you are still worthy, because the self doesn't shout, it whispers. And to hear it, you must slow down, step off the stage, close the tabs, turn down the volume of the world so you can finally hear your own voice. And when you do, something miraculous happens. You remember what you love, not because it's trending, but because it lights something up inside you. You remember what you fear, not because someone told you to avoid it, but because it holds truth. You remember what matters, not for status, but for soul. You start asking deeper questions, not what should I do next, but who do I want to be when no one's watching? And in asking, you begin to reclaim your humanity. You begin to feel alive again, not just surviving, but thriving, not just existing, but truly living. But now let's pause together, take a breath, feel your heart beating, ask yourself, what are you going to do with this one wild, precious life? You've heard the truth. The world will keep handing you ready-made identities, endless distractions, and the illusion of freedom. It will keep you running, scrolling, hustling, and performing, unless you choose to wake up. So here's my challenge to you. Don't let this just be another video you watch, another voice in the background while you move on to the next thing. Let it be a turning point. Let it be the spark that ignites something deep inside you. Start by reclaiming your attention. Notice the moments when you reach for your phone out of habit. Notice the times you silence your own voice to fit in. Notice when you choose comfort over growth or productivity over peace. In those moments, choose differently, just once, then again and again. That's how change begins, not with grand gestures, but with small acts of defiance against the noise. Write down one thing you truly care about, something that isn't for show, something that's just for you. Take 5 minutes today to sit in silence, to listen for the whisper of your real self beneath the static. Ask yourself, if no one was watching, who would I be? What would I love? What would I stop pretending to care about? Share your answer in the comments, not for validation, but as a declaration, a first step back to your true self. Your story might be the mirror someone else needs to finally see themselves. If this message resonated with you, if you felt that ache of recognition, then join this journey. Subscribe not just for more videos, but to remind yourself that you're not alone in this search for meaning. Like, share, and invite others to question with you. Let's build a community of people who are awake, people who refuse to settle for the menu when the whole world is out there waiting. And as you step back into your life, remember, you are not your productivity. You are not your roles. You are not your curated feed or your list of achievements. You are a soul, wild, mysterious, and limitless. You are the author of your own story, even if you've forgotten how to write it. So don't just consume content, create your own meaning. Don't just chase comfort, chase truth. Don't just exist live, fully and fiercely, with your eyes wide open. Because the world doesn't need more perfect people, it needs more real ones. It needs you awake, alive, unafraid to question, unafraid to begin again. This is your invitation. Will you accept it? Your journey back to yourself starts now, and I'll be right here, walking this path with you. Now go be bold, be honest, be free. And if you're ready to take that first step, let me know below. What's one truth you're ready to face? What's one comfort you're willing to question? Your voice matters. Your story matters. You matter.